Beast Machines episode reviews now continue with When Legends Fall, Endgame Part 2. So, the Grand Mall is down, thousands of drones are at their door, the Maximals have no choice but to stand and defend the Sparks from Megatron, who is in the middle of getting a brand new body. So, a lot of things going on as we lead up to what is essentially going to be the final battle for most of the cast. Alright, so we've got a lot to get through here. As said before, Megatron's got a new body. He could have done this from the beginning. He could have done this from before Season 1, but he's doing it now. Essentially because he has no choice. Though, ironically, I think he would have done better without it, but, that's neither here nor there. For now, we need Megatron to have a new body for the finale, and oh, what a choice he makes. Because this is getting very tense, because this is getting very much to like the end of things, we do have some extra development going on between some characters. For one, Silverbolt's decided to get romantic again. So he's suddenly deciding to be affectionate for the first time in this series toward Black Arachnia. And also we get a little bit more time for Botanica and Rat Trap. It still feels kind of rushed. I still could have used a few more episodes of it. But I'm not against it. I mean, it's rushed but welcome. So, I mean, at least it's development for both of them. And meanwhile, even though the last communion with the Oracle, should have been, there really isn't anything to gain at this point from communion with the Oracle. Primal does attempt it one last time, one last discussion, and there's an answer. For once, the Oracle actually just directly gave something to Primal instead of making it super vague and it's like kind of beating around the bush, so to speak. It gives him an upgrade. It gives him like a weird power-up. And the power-up is essentially the sparks of Cybertron all kind of like uniting and giving a fraction of their power to Primal, which he then shares with the rest of the cast. Visually, the only thing it does is make their spark exposed. So if you wondered what color everyone's spark was now, well, you got an answer. I'll give you a spoiler alert for the next episode. It's not going to last because for some reason the colored spark thing is a plot detail they conveniently forget about quite often. But at the very least, it gives them some edge. They're Primal, because he has been with the Oracle a long time now, is being exceptionally vague about it as well. He doesn't really explain. Cheetor, they ask what it is, and Primal gives a super vague answer that doesn't answer anything. That is typical of Beast Machines, though. If you've reached episode 25 and you didn't realize that literally everyone is vague for no reason, you haven't been paying attention. So, Megatron is assaulting the Grand Mall. All the Viacon generals are united. There's a moment in the previous episode that I skipped on at the end of Heart of Darkness. I really should have skipped on because throughout this episode, Thrust is actually very much, part of the Viacon general unit again. He's not being looked down upon. The words he gave to Strike and Obsidian during Spark of Darkness actually did give them a level of respect for Thrust. So he's kind of on equal footing here, which is really cool to see. So once again, because no one understands the rules of this, we're going to split the party, because that works so well. We've got Silverbolt, Black Arachnia, and Cheetor, who are going to be going after the generals. We have Primal, who is making his last stand at the Sparks, and then Botanica, Rat Trap, and Night Scream head underground because the Orchard is also under attack. It does seem weird that Primal is being left alone while every other Maximal finds something else to do. It's weird that he has literally no backup here. He is all on his own with just his new fancy power-up stopping between him and all of the Viacon drones approaching the Spark Chamber. So, the power-up. Okay. I hate this, but I hate this thing. So, essentially what it does is it turns him into Sonic the Hedgehog. I think I would. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. So it makes an aura shield appear around the Maximal, and then they can rush super fast into things, and when they hit a Viacon, it blows them up. So yes, it very much does just feels like Sonic just got invincibility, and he's bouncing around like a pinball. A lot of unnecessary bouncing around too. The first time Primal uses it, he's bouncing around up and down across the corridor, and I think he blows up 2 Viacon drones with it. It's like Cheetor actually shows some efficiency with it. He just go bound, 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 just hits Viacon drones. They blow up, and that's great. That looks fine. What doesn't look fine is, for some reason, they show like a close-up of the character inside the aura sphere, and they're doing these really weird, like, Power Ranger poses. It makes no sense whatsoever, and it looks really, really dumb. But that's just what they went with. I guess we're just doing little punches and kicks and poses while we're bouncing around at the speed of sound. It's weird. It's super weird. It does come across as we need to give the Maximals an edge, but we don't have the budget to give them an edge. But that's Beast Machines. That's Beast Machines. Again, if you've reached episode 25 and you're not aware of this, you've not been watching very closely. So the attack is on multiple fronts. Down in the orchard, yeah, you've got moles that are now spraying napalm. For some reason, Megatron saw fit to upgrade them to wipe out orchards better with a napalm shooter, but they did not see fit to upgrade them to prevent Rat Trap from plugging in and taking control. In fact, he doesn't even have to take control. Megatron's apparently installed joysticks that let you just control it while you ride on its back. That seems counterproductive, Megs. That seems like you didn't really think this one out very well. So, the orchard is a mess. It does give Rat Trap one more chance to be a hero for Botanica, but they have to split again because the fossil chamber is also under attack, so Night Scream has to go handle that. Because apparently there's only one chamber of fossils on the entirety of Cybertron. Again, that's dumb. It's really dumb. Also, unless they're disintegrating things, which they didn't show any sign that they could, I'm pretty sure there's still going to be DNA in the bones even after the whole place is collapsed. I think you just have to dig them up if I'm not mistaken. That's a weird tangent side thing for Night Scream to do. On the hero sides, on the surface, we have we have a confrontation. Strangely enough, like, the Viacon drones are actually the Viacon generals put up a really good fight against the Maximals here. It's thrust that actually beats Silverbolt, calling him Jetstorm the entire episode too, which I think is a brilliant touch. Like, it's a small detail, but it's a really good detail to keep in mind. But yeah, it's thrust that beats Silverbolt, and when Black Arachnia tries to step up, Obsidian just clocks her in the back of the head and she goes down in one shot. Should be gin. Should be gin. I don't drink, but this show might drive me to it. It's a terrible way to treat, your longest running female character. It's a terrible way of treating Black Arachnia, who at one time was a threat to even the scariest of Predacons, and now she just gets knocked out with one clock to the back of the head. It's a massive downgrade to her as a character. I'm not a fan of it at all. It does set up Cheetor versus the Generals, and Cheetor plays things smart. He finds an anti-grav platform that launches Obsidian and Strika into orbit and puts them out for the rest of the series. In canceled plans for this series, the finale would have included the two falling back down to Cybertron and being offered the upgrade, the reformatting, and refusing it, because they felt like if they were the last two purely mechanical Cybertronians, that would be appropriate punishment for their actions. it's a little bit of character thing that I would have loved to have seen, and we didn't get it. And it would have been real easy to include, and they didn't. But no, it's clever of Cheetor. And I also appreciate that the final fight of this series before the finale comes down to Cheetor versus Thrust, Waspinator, because they are the two who started the Beast Wars in the first place. So very appropriate to get a one-on-one now. And Cheetor comes out on top thanks to a Viacon trick that you see on screen now. He extracts Waspinator's spark. We could have done that a lot sooner. We were building the gizmos to do that. We didn't do it. So, through all of this, there's a lot of other things going on. There's a lot of little things that I like. All 5 drones are present in this finale. So Megatron's literally using all of his resources. They're going on a suicide run to blow up the shield for the Grand Mall, which means they deplete the limited forces they have left because the factories are now destroyed. This is all set up for what's going to be the finale between Optimus and Megatron. The big thing here is that Megatron, in the middle of getting transferred to his new body, can still access the Oracle, and he spots the connection that the Maximals have with the Sparks and severs it. So the big power-up that was giving them the edge this episode lasts for like 3 minutes, I think. It's like most of the things in this, it's short-lived. It's weirdly short-lived. There's also a lot of there's a few scenes in here with no music or sound effects whatsoever to, I guess, drive up the tension of the moment, or just because there's so much going on, they really couldn't Foley the entire thing. But for whatever reason, yeah, they tried to be a little artsy with it. I'm not sure it worked. And then yeah, the finale, the big reveal. So off screen, all the Maximals were defeated. With Cheetor specifically being knocked out by Megatron. Second time Cheetor has been knocked out by this particular body that Megatron's about to reveal. But yeah, all the Maximals, despite the power-ups, despite seemingly coming out on top on a lot of the fights, still end up on the losing end. They all get beaten off screen. Their sparks get extracted. And we're left with one final showdown. The only functional Maximal left is Primal, leading up against the one functioning Viacon left. And that is Megatron in the Transmetal Optimal Optimus body. We can just make Transmetals now. I mean, it's a template. I'm assuming it is not like Vok powered, but it's the body that Megatron chose to throw a little bit of irony into what he views as his final victory. Okay, so I will admit, it's a really cool touch for the final fight, considering they are essentially just figuring out how to make the final fight more epic without spending any more money. This is an existing bit of CG they have. They're going to recycle it. That's going to be the final battle. Okay, fair enough. So I'm giving the score overall a passable. There's some really good moments and some cool fight scenes, and there's some good attention to detail with things like Thrust constantly mentioning Jetstorm, and the final fight being Cheetor versus Waspinator again. But there's also some weirdness to the writing. They split the party a lot, which kind of left things at a kind of weirdly left low priority on the most important thing in the episode. There's some weirdness in the cinematography. There's some weird, and things like the power-up thing being such a moot point. I mean, it felt like a lot of things in this show. Man, that could have been handled better. So that is When Legends Fall. Join me tomorrow. We have the finale, the final episode of Beast Machines. I have opinions on it. Stay tuned. We're almost there.
We're gonna have to get your names for the books. You, Pale One.
William Current.
Roll me a deception check.
I thought their name was Pain.
Roll a disadvantage.
Okay.
That was like the opposite of the help action there. You, Goblin.
First name D's.
Watch your tongue.